right now she's going through her nodal return. When did Terry have his like stroke, his TIA stroke? And I was like, the nodes moved into Aries and Libra literally 1 month before Terry had his stroke.
Wild.
So like this is something that would have been very chaotic and upsetting, and was upsetting, very big, and also was done on kind of like a public scale.
Yeah.
Like that's again, like I can't make this shit up.
We gonna stir it up and do things our way. So if you wanna move, get out of our way.
Welcome back, PCP Astrology buddies.
I'm so happy to be here.
You're so excited because you're like, how dare we cut off Heather Dubrow?
Literally, I'm here for vengeance. I said that last time. I'm just gonna be so annoyed if I guess it is like humanizing them. I'm like, fuck, yeah, they're people. That sucks.
I know. It sucks when it sucks when you like find out your parents are people. You're just like, oh my God.
Literally.
You want to be mad at them, and then you're like, oh.
That's exactly what this feels like. Like I just had my kid and I'm like, fuck, my parents were human the whole time. Like, oh fuck, these housewives are annoyingly human.
They're annoyingly human. Look, there's still enough to like hate them about, you know? We can still judge.
You're right. Let's not rule it out completely.
I know. This is why like I want to be such a bitch, and I can be a bitch like for a split second, but then I go, oh, but they have that's
mother.
The Pisces. The Sagittarius in me wants to be like, no.
Let it burn. Yes.
Yeah, but that's also like, look, hey, I will say it has taken me almost, I would say probably about 14 years to get to the point where I'm just like, I'm done with Tamra. I was about to say something, but I think it'll get the algorithm gone on on YouTube, so I can't say it. But I'm just like basically stick a fork in me. I'm done with Tamra. Like, no, I can't give her any more. Like, there's like Tamra's reached a point for me where I was like, there's no going back. I will even read her chart and I will give her enough grace when we do her chart eventually. But I would be like, no, she's gone. She's gone. No, there's no more. Yeah. Like, how am I doing? Not well, bitch.
Not well, bitch.
Mm-hmm. No, thank you, Dorinda Medley. Love you every day. Even her drunk ass. Love her.
I've got feelings about Dorinda too. Dorinda and Shannon kind of rub me the same way.
Yeah. These lovely lushes.
I think it's just fire signs. I'm like, y'all are too much, like too chaotic for me to grapple with. You know what I mean?
Because being a fire sun myself, I totally get it. But I also find that like when I meet people who are some sort of like double fire, especially if their sun is a fire and then they've got either a moon or rising that's a fire, even I'm a little overwhelmed. I'm just like, oh, that's that's a lot. Cause I'm tempered. The only thing like I don't know if we've ever talked about our big three on the episode.
I don't know. I don't think we have.
Well, so okay, so here we go. So I'm a Sagittarius.
I almost missed my opportunity.
There we go. So I'm a Sagittarius sun. I am a Libra moon, and I am a Pisces rising. And so I technically don't have any Earth, but I actually do have a grand Earth trine in my chart. So that does ground me a bit in ways, but I have to harness it. I have to use it. So as I talk about and yours?
Virgo sun, like Tamra, because we're born on the same day. Aquarius moon and Cancer rising. I've got so many feelings, and sometimes I like to detach from them.
Yes, you do. I mean,
immediately this is too much.
And you're one too who like you don't have any fire per se, like in your chart, like heavily, but you actually have, you have the two benefics though in Leo. So
Venus and Jupiter. Those are
Venus and
benefits.
Jupiter. Yep. You
It
see, you
comes
learned.
out. I'm getting it.
This is PCP astrology is not just entertainment, it is educational as well.
This is the Academy. PCP Academy of Astrology.
I love it.
We're
We're
getting the
rebranding.
certifications. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Love a rebrand.
But yeah, so like in some important beneficial ways,
Right.
you harness like fire energy.
Yes.
So that's why I'm always just like when somebody's like, I even have friends who still go, oh, well, like, what's Capricorn, which is just their sun sign. What is that compatible with? And I go, please, let's stop this. How long have you known me?
Amateur
long-
hour.
Like, how long have you known me? Like, we got to talk about, like, you are a Virgo rising. So you need somebody who is more Pisces like. I was like,
Right.
that is who you need in your life. I was like, you don't need, like, you're not looking for, although that if you want to go off of your Capricorn sun, I was like, that's a Cancer, but you don't want a Cancer. You need somebody who's more
Right.
Piscean. So
Right.
please, let's stop
Please.
this. Let's stop these shenanigans.
Sign up for the University of PCP Astrology, please.
Exactly. And guess how you do that? By subscribing on YouTube and hitting that like button.
That's it.
Do it right now.
Literally.
Literally.
Yes.
So you can watch all of it. Literally, because we're still watching the London episodes.
I was going to say, this is very on brand. You know who doesn't do a great London accent? Gina.
She's terrible.
And of course she goes with the Cockney accent. Of course.
I mean, she's like, London. I'm like,
Lord, yes. What are you doing, girl? What are you doing? Jersey doesn't translate well to, or wait, she's from New York, huh?
she's from New York.
Yeah,
She's
like
like,
New
"I'm
York
from
doesn't
Long,
translate well.
from Long Island." Oh my God. I had an ex-boyfriend one time and I was talking about dialects because because I was a theater major and I had to take dialect classes, both American and some European ones. So, but more
Wow.
American ones. But one of them was like that a lot of like Southern accents are actually heavily influenced by British accents because of indentured servitude. I mean, it's even like more. And then this little jackass, he laughed at me and he was like, that's not true. And he goes, I dated a girl from England. That's not true. And I go, well, you're dating a Southerner now who took theater school. I was like, oh, you dated a girl from London, so you know all about Southern accents now?
Right.
Excuse me.
Jesus Christ.
Anywho, not like I know a lot about British
Men.
accents either, but
I know, but it's true. That's what they say, like British actors can do Southern accents because it is kind of comparable. And Australia. I do a killer Australian accent. I went on a tour of Ireland and Scotland, and we were there with people from Australia and New Zealand. And I did my accent for them, and they pretended that it wasn't good.
do it.
But I know it was. Well, New Zealand is different. And she said that I did it really like pronounce, like drag it out, but the inflection goes up at the end all the time. Like they're asking questions, right?
Like, right?
And
Always
like,
watch
yeah,
Flight
like
of the
Australia.
Conchords.
Yes. She's like, I don't know that I do it that much. It's like, you literally just did it. So
Okay.
I'd say sure.
We have quite a few Australian listeners and viewers, and we've got a
I've
few
offended
Kiwis
them.
as well. So
Love
they
that.
need to like leave a comment and let Dahlia know
Don't.
how good or bad she was. Tell her she's great.
Yeah.
Like
I'm sensitive.
I mean, look, my favorite thing though with the British accent is to do, because I watched a lot of The Only Way is Essex during the pandemic.
I watched it when it first came out, like when I was in college. Oh my God.
I didn't find out about it until the
Fantastic.
pandemic, and I'd already watched Love Island literally the year before. I like binged all the Love Island episodes. So, and then the pandemic hit, and I was like, "Well, fuck this shit," but I couldn't get enough of it. And I was like, "You're right, babes."
Yeah,
All I
babes.
say, "You're right, babes."
Yeah, that's another thing. We were talking about autism and echolalia, and that's another aspect of it is when I hear accents, I cannot help but copy them. So the whole time I was in Europe, I was insufferable. I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. It's a disease.
Just put a sign around it. Sorry, I'm insufferable.
I'm Yeah, I'm really sorry. I would say it like I would mimic them, and then just maybe like I'm really sorry.
You
I'm
know,
really sorry.
you know who would have made you feel even more worse about yourself? Even more worse
What?
about yourself? Who would have made you feel worse about yourself?
What?
Heather Dubrow, because she would have been like, how dare you do this in front of me and embarrass me? Plus, I'm an actual actress, and
Right.
no,
This is embarrassing. How tourist of you.
how touristy of you. Please stop
It was.
doing
I'm just an American at the end
this.
of the day.
You are. You're just a simple American.
Just a simple Southern woman.
Simple Southern woman doing it. Well, you know,
Real
look here, Vivian Lee. We're gonna
Okay, tell me all the bad stuff about Heather so I could be mean to her.
Okay, yeah, because I made her have a heart.
Yeah, I feel like we were way too nice in that first episode. So really, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Tell me about this. I'm like looking for a bad place.
Oh, okay. Well,
Scorpio.
okay.
That's dark.
Okay. So when we kind of left off last week, I had been talking about this chaos here.
Yeah.
But also another thing is that Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus,
Right.
the goddess of love, beauty, money, things like that. So I had another thought too, because we were also talking about control, is that this could be a bit about Heather needing to control her weight in the way that she looks.
Interesting.
Like, I'm not saying that she has an ED or anything like that.
Right.
I'm just saying, you know, being an actor, living most of your life in Hollywood and on screen and on TV, and just like honestly, like what Heather Gay said, you know, in an episode of Salt Lake, she was like, body positivity is a lie. She's like, I'm calling it a lie because people get mad at me for being fat. People get mad at me for the way I'm losing weight. People get mad at me for losing weight. Nobody is happy. It is a lie. And I was like, she's not wrong about that.
Nope.
Like,
look at Emily.
And look at it. Exactly. Look at Emily. Like, so Heather is hyper aware of this. So, and so there's again, control here, and there is I can't let the chaos reign. Now, do I think she's relatively naturally thin? Yes, I do believe that she's relatively a naturally thin woman, but do I think that some control comes into that to help control her looks and things like that? Yes. Yeah.
Right. Well, and I mean, I've struggled with eating disorder for my whole life. I'm a girl, but a woman, but that's something that that I noticed because I also have control issues. And that was something that was, when everything else seemed out of my control, that was something that I could control. And I hyper fixated on it, you know?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
But it's interesting too, what you're talking about, because I think that does give us some insight to the argument between her and Emily, because obviously I see both sides of it. I mean, I think Emily was being a little ridiculous. However, from her standpoint, she wasn't, you know what I mean? Like from her standpoint, she's worked really hard. She's lost a bunch of weight. She doesn't always want to feel like the quote fat friend, right? Which I completely understand, because everyone that I went to high school with, literally everyone, size 2 was the bigger girl. Like these were 0 double zeros. It was insane, right? Oh. So I get that it triggered her, but for Heather to pretend that it's not top of mind, like someone who's never struggled with an eating disorder or weight issues or food or whatever, if they said something and then someone who did struggle with their weight was like, this offended me, they might be like, oh my God, that is not at all what I meant. Like that was not top of mind. But if it is something that's top of mind, then that makes it makes Emily's arguments a little more valid. You know what I'm saying?
And also when you ask me about like what makes her defensive, like that could make her defensive of like, that's not what I meant, because she's like, please don't see behind what I don't want you to see. Again, not saying, these readings are conjecture. They are for fun. They're for entertainment purposes. I'm not saying I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not a lawyer, not any psychotherapist, any of that type of stuff. Just conjecture. And I have no idea what I'm saying is or isn't. But also I do think in general, period, most women in America have control issues with food. Let's be real.
Which is what I was going to say anyway. Even if we take anything like personal out of it, you're a woman, and especially an actor, like someone who's in the industry, there's just no chance that this is not something that has been at the forefront of her mind, at least.
I always feel guilty anytime I eat a carb. Like, I'm not joking. Like, and like I said, I love to eat, but I do not keep carbohydrates in my own home.
Yeah.
That is my control issue with food here. I don't even pretend to act anymore. Like, I don't.
Right.
But I still.
Which I feel like is an important step, you know? But that's the thing too, is when I was going through a lot of my food issues and I was looking, because I was sick. And like, I mean, once I started keeping a record, which was also another thing, it was like control. It swung too far in the other direction, because then all of a sudden I was keeping up with everything, and it's called orthorexia. It's a thing. I think Emily has it. I'm not to diagnose, but when I started looking at it, I was looking at like the carbs and the proteins, the percentages that I was using. Carbs are energy. Like that is what they're for. So when I'm running around fucking tired all the time, and I'm going to doctors being like, I don't know what's wrong, fatigue all the time. And then I look at it, and then I started eating carbs, like healthy carbs, but carbs, all of a sudden I've got this energy to go work out. It's like, what's happening? Like, bitch, you were starving yourself. You were malnourished. So
exactly. All right. Let's stop with the weight thing. Okay. I have another thing though, too. So right now she's going through her nodal return. She's almost done with it, but the nodes, again, let me pull up right now, the nodes, this is the transit, the current transits on the outside. So the nodes are right over her nodes. So the north node is at 5 degrees, and it's right over her natal north node at 4 degrees. And so here and here. So, but I was wondering, it was like, okay, well, they would have come in about a year ago, a little over a year ago. They finally like moved into Aries and Libra. So she started to have a nodal return. Then I was like, I wonder if something like really big happened then, especially because of like the Uranus, the Jupiter here. I was like, I wondered, but still not knowing what houses they are. So I decided to look, like, when did Terry have his like stroke, his TIA stroke? And I was like, and I was like, well, the nodes moved into Aries and Libra literally 1 month before Terry had his stroke.
Wild.
So like, this is something that would have been very chaotic and upsetting, and was upsetting for Heather. She processed it in her own way, the way that she knew how to, but also like the idea of like losing your husband, like, was very big for her. And again, is chaos, very big. And also was done on kind of like a public scale. Like that's again, like, I can't make this shit up.
Right. Okay. So let me ask you this. When the nodes are transiting over each other, how does that present? Because I still am not I'm not 100% familiar with the nodes anyway.
The nodes of the moon are mathematical points. They basically show us where the eclipses are going to be happening during these time periods. So there have been the solar and lunar eclipses have been happening on the Aries and Libra axes for since July of last year of 2023. And they will conclude, I think, in January of 2025. They'll move into Pisces and Virgo. And we'll start having... you and I will start having axes in our like special places. Although what's interesting is Pisces is not going to be getting a solar eclipse. It's very weird for a year and a half, like not getting a solar eclipse. We're only getting lunar eclipses. It's very, very interesting. But basically, Heather has been dealing with like some big like leaps and changes in especially the house that Aries is in for her. So I don't know what house that is, but there's been very changes. And like also because Saturn lives in her Aries house, like that has just been like structurally, like, I think we've seen, she seems a little thinner this year, to be honest with you. Like so like, and honest, and when you sometimes have certain Saturn transits, they actually can affect like your body. When literally a week after Saturn moved into Pisces, I got COVID, and I got COVID really, really bad. And I lost like 10 pounds. Like it just was like crazy. Wow. It took a while for me to even put it back on. But like, there just have been some big changes. So she's had some big changes, some letting go, some shedding of some things, and some growing in some different directions. It's going to present differently for everybody. But the eclipses will happen within 10 degrees of the nodes. So that's what happens. I would say there was a Pisces lunar eclipse that ended up happening last month. Because it ended up happening in Pisces, which it was kind of like off node, but it would have happened on her Chiron, probably brought up something for her to like deal with emotionally about that type of stuff. So she's, I would say this, I don't think Tamra is the right friend for her for right now in this part of her life, but I guarantee you it probably feels familiar. I think Tamra feels familiar, and she needs to watch herself, because Tamra pulls her down into the underworld.
Yeah. And, you know, I can tell, I mean, it's been a while since I watched the older seasons, but it does feel like almost like Heather's trying to force this relationship with Tamra for whatever reason. But like the last scene when Jen comes in and is talking to Tamra, which I wish she would have brought those fucking screenshots and put it in her face, because we watched Tamra, by the way, lie on the life of her children when she swore to God on her kid's life.
That's right. Whenever Housewife says that, I swear on the life of my children, I'm like, you're automatically lying to me.
You're lying. But Heather sat there and then tried to defend her, and Jen turned around like don't defend her, because this has got nothing to do with you, and I don't need you involved in this, right? But Heather did jump in, and for what? Like, I mean, and I'm a loyal friend. Like, I've got friends. It's like, we'll talk about it later in private, where I like correct you and be like, yo, bitch, I went to bat for you, and I know you were wrong, but I still love you. That's one thing, like not, saying it in front of them. But at some point you've got to draw a line where it's like, and you've met Tamra, all this stuff. I can't even remember what the specifics were last season, but there was stuff going on. And I just remember screaming to Heather, like, you've met Tamra. You know what kind of person Tamra is. Why are you pretending that this is not what's going on? Like, you're giving her the benefit of the doubt for what? She has not earned it one time. So I'm with you if she lets her go.
Yeah. Her aligning with Tamra and Alexis is like not the smartest thing to do.
It is weird.
It's very weird. It's very weird. And she just has to figure out, like, yeah, I don't. Well, okay. Well, this is doing. Actually, this is what's interesting is that, and I have this written down. So, because she has Pisces, Venus in Pisces. Exalted. Venus is exalted here. It loves being here. It's practically at home. It loves it. It loves it here, even though it's not its home. But it is squaring. It's like hold on. What is it? Yeah, it's like an out of sign. It's like a weird square. Sorry.
It's okay.
Oh no, it's like it's like a weird square. It's a weird, like, in conjunct to Neptune. She can be idealistic and unrealistic when it comes to relationships. Like, she sometimes needs to like shift her expectations about what people can give, as opposed to like blaming them for what looks like a lack of understanding. Like, sometimes, like, Heather, people just are not in the same position as you are, or in the same place that you are. Like, sometimes you just like have to let them go. And I think there might be a thing of like, she might be thinking that like Tamra's at the certain place where she is, and so is Alexis, and these other women aren't, where it's like, girl, no, maybe the other women aren't either, but no, you're being a little unrealistic in this.
You know what it almost feels like when, if you like break up with an ex and then y'all get back together, and it's like that you shouldn't have got back together, but you're there now, and it's like the vibe, you just can't get the vibes back. And it's like, you're not yet ready to accept that like, oh, this is done and we're never going to get back what we had. That's kind of what this feels like, of like, she is trying so hard to like the nostalgia of the friendships and the bond that they had in the early years of their friendship is she's clinging to. It's like, and you always realize at some point, but I think maybe that's something too, like if she's lying to herself about that because she doesn't want to face it, you know what I mean? That could be why she's doubling down so hard, because she's almost trying to convince herself like, no, Tamara is a good friend. With that, this is what you do for friends, right? Like, no.
Also, it could just be like I'm hitching my wagon to this star and let's see where it goes. And it's like,
That's
girl,
valid too.
You did the wrong one. It's like,
yes, I agree. And I thought that too, like why it's so, and I mean, I guess it makes sense if she's like beefing with Shannon for whatever reason, whatever Shannon reflects back to her. It makes sense that she would just out of like, hatred for Shannon, that she would team up against or with her enemies. But yeah, it's a weird, like why are you going so hard on what is so clearly the wrong side of history?
I think everybody's confused right now. We're just like, what?
Yeah.
Like, excuse me.
Right. What is going on?
There's two other things I definitely want to talk about.
Okay.
Which is interesting. So her son, the only aspect it has, because it doesn't aspect anything else, like it doesn't have any like crazy lines to anyone, is it actually squares her Saturn. And so the funny thing is that this could like, she could have had like a lot of difficulty like expressing herself, especially when she was younger. And so she's figured out ways to express herself that behoove her. But the way I also see it, and this is, again, it's still not knowing what her rising sign is, but since the sun does represent our career, since she's an actress, I can see it probably hindering her as an actress and being able to like really be the top actress in that she wanted to be, because she wasn't able to like really like maybe bridge the gap, because some actors have a problem bridging the gap between what they are feeling inside and what they're able to show on the outside, and that can be tough. But I think now that she is older, it actually is helpful for her as a housewife, because let's be real, all housewives, whether we like them or not, whether they're our faves or their sweetest, they have to be somewhat manipulative. So you have to keep space in between how you really feel and what you really show. So I think that becomes a bit of a superpower now, where it could have hindered her before in her acting career. It actually makes her a better housewife. And if she can lean into that more, it could behoove her a lot.
Interesting. So what does that look like? Is that not like emotionally distant? How does that present?
I mean, it does show emotionally distant, or it shows like, when somebody says something, but you're like, are you really like when she got upset about the mammogram thing and she started crying. And then the next thing we know, and we don't know if it was editing or not, but then the next thing we know, she's like, no, I don't want to belabor it anymore. And she's not crying anymore. And we're just like, what? Or when she's saying to Emily, and it's kind of a combination of things of like at the actual fashion show event, she was like, are you okay? Do you not like this? And Emily's like, no, I'm fine. When Emily is clearly not fine. But Heather, I believe, really was like, are you okay? But she is coming off very businesslike. And it's like, are you okay? Because she also has like 15 other things that she's thinking about at the moment. But she is like concerned. She's like, are you okay? And she does mean that. Are you okay?
Okay, I did not see it that way. And I always think it's so interesting. We've talked about this with Love is Blind when we're watching it, and we're like, we have such different viewpoints, and I love it. Because from my perspective, the fact that she kept asking, because keeping in mind what we had just talked about with Heather, that I assume weight is top of her mind. This is not, you weren't born yesterday, you're a woman, right? And the fact that she kept asking to me was a red flag of like, she knows that she's done something and she just wants Emily to say it repeatedly so that she doesn't look like the bad guy. Right. And like, I don't think she was asking in hopes that Emily would say, no, I'm not okay. I think she wanted it to be like, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? And she knew Emily wasn't going to say anything. She knew that she was avoiding answering the question. So then it's on the record for later when Emily gets upset, like she did, she gets upset. Then Heather can be like, I asked you 5 times if you were
Mhm.
okay. And you said that you were. So,
Yeah.
right.
And that could be
Which
it
is
too.
more villain.
And that could be it too. It could be either way. Like,
Right.
you
I'm giving
know,
her the villain edit.
give her the villain. I don't care.
Because like I said, you know, the thing of like being straight up about how you feel, because that's my beef with Emily is at that point, like I get it, maybe not the time or place, but you could have like given some indication of like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but that's just not her personality. So
I do always feel like that these housewives and honestly, why am I so sympathetic at times to reality stars
like be mean.
and production? Well, but this is the thing is that like, look, if they do stuff off camera, then there's not that stuff to talk about on camera. So they can't
Right.
sometimes have these texts or these phone calls off camera. They have to wait till they're on camera. So they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't. But also,
Valid.
you know, even though reality television isn't unionized, there still are rules. They can't work these people 24/7. So you have to put the
Right.
cameras down. You have to let these people live their lives. So stuff is going to happen off camera too
Right.
that we're going to miss. So then sometimes when they're like, why isn't the camera on? Why are you not doing this? And it's like, well, like, how would
Labor
you
laws.
like, yeah. Oh, let's have people like have a life. Like people have to go to the bathroom. Like, what, you're going to be upset that like somebody, like we missed an important text message while somebody had diarrhea? Like, did you really want to see that? Like,
Yes.
look, we're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But
Right.
I mean, who knows? Like only Heather knows. And does she? I don't know.
Right.
That's for her and
I
her
just
therapist.
can't see Heather. Right. I just can't see Heather. She's not dumb.
No,
You know what I
she's not
mean?
dumb.
Like,
Mm-mm.
so it's like I just always, maybe it's not like giving her the benefit of the doubt, but I always assume that she has a pretty firm grasp on reality. Whereas like some people I might be like, they fumble. They don't know. You know what I mean? Like they don't even know what the fuck's going on. With Heather, no. I assume, and this could just be me, like I just think everything she does is calculated.
No.
In the same way that she does with what's his name? Terry, when they were at the whatever the surgery place was, and she pulled it back and was like, why would you say that on camera? Like I think everything is, you know,
Okay.
people are gonna see what they want to see.
Perfect segue because I want to talk about that.
Tell me.
Okay. So speaking of Saturn here, it actually there's a nice blue line. It trines Juno, the marriage asteroid, the marriage and contracts asteroid. So this is like it basically is saying that there is a kind of like that her marriage, it indicates that that she could be married to somebody who could be older, maybe not. I mean, I think he's a few years older than her, but
I don't know.
but that like it's going to be like more of a business-like type of marriage or relationship, that there's like domestic harmony, that she wants like a long-standing marriage, and she's going to be looking for stability and everything like that. And that's the type of marriage that she wants. Usually it wouldn't be like a typically like passionate marriage or super loving marriage, except for I say the one thing I do give it is that it's they're both in fire signs. They're in Sagittarius and they're in Aries. So I kind of go, I do think that they have some passion there. I do think it is a little bit more passionate than I would say, Erica and Tom marriage, you want to say. Like these are people who have mutual, I've said it on the regular PCP podcast. Terry and Heather kind of have the same kinks. And I don't mean like sexual kinks or fetishes per se. I mean, they could, I mean, hopefully, but I mean, like they both get a kick out of like having money, of real estate, of like doing these things, of showing off, of being like this and that. Like, and I always say like, some people may not like it, but that's Terry and Heather's marriage. If they like it, if those are the things that like bond them, then let them do. Everybody's got their stuff. Like if you're a couple that bonds over football and you love football and that's the thing, and you go to football games and that's your thing, like that's your flipping houses, you know, to the tune of like, you know, $15 million and stuff like that. every successful marriage and relationship has their own kind of like kinks. You got to make sure that like they do that. And I think that that's what Heather and Terry actually have. They both like being in the spotlight. They both enjoy that type of stuff. I mean, Terry just, I would like to get my hands on Terry's chart. I just think he's a little bit more of the chaos. Do you know what I mean? Like like a, hey, not a clown. I don't want it like, but you know what I mean? He's a little bit more like loosey goosey of like, hey, and she's like, hey, yo, no, I don't want to look bad. Don't make me. And he's like, I'm not making you look bad. Let's just be honest a little bit more. And she's like, no, let's not be honest.
And I do think that if she would lean into that, I know she thinks this is another one of those like paradoxical things. I know that she thinks that if she doesn't, and this is what you were talking about earlier too, with the chaos, that if she stays composed, that it's going to look better. It's not reading well. And in the early seasons, maybe, but your character arc is stagnant. You have got to do something, you know?
Yeah.
Evolve a little bit in some way. At least get rid of Tamra. That would be enough for me. Like it would show some sort of evolution.
Yes. Yeah. And I think we do enjoy it when she just is not so posed and composed. Like, in all honesty, I think we all kind of liked it when she admonished Terry. And we all kind of liked it because also that's like a real moment that a couple has. Like we've all done that with a partner of ours. We're like, how dare you do that to me?
Right. And I didn't fault her, by the way. Like I feel like she was probably upset that it was on camera, but like I'm with you. Like that made me like her more, being like, what the fuck, babe? Don't do that to me.
Yeah. Like I don't necessarily need to see them sipping champagne on the balcony of their like century, penthouse. Jordan needs that. I don't need that. Like, I mean, I like to see like her being playful with Terry. Like that's more fun to me. Like, and that's a little bit more interesting. I would prefer to see her get into like a fight with Shannon and not be so perfect and like have like, actually that moment that she had with Shannon when Shannon was like breaking down was a little bit more heartwarming and was more interesting. So
and then to see her go back on it and turn it around is like, oh my God, you were so close, Heather. You were so close to being human.
So close.
And then she ruined it.
Well, but Heather's evolving and she's about to move into like she's got like one more, I think she's got one more like big push chance. There's I think one last solar eclipse in Aries back in the spring. Even though it'll actually be out of nodes, out of sign, but yeah. Since Pisces ain't getting any of their own solar eclipses, I'm really pissed off because
I know I hate that for you.
I know you're gonna get them all.
Yay! That's terrible to me. That's terrible.
Well, hey y'all, if you want to hear a specific housewife chart be read, leave us a message. Leave us a comment in the comment section of YouTube. Make sure you are subscribed, that you hit that like button, and let us know. Also, make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast so that you can listen to this anywhere. But granted, on YouTube, you can see it. It's great. And make sure you are following Dahlia on all of her socials. What are they again?
At Bravo Bitch Fest, and then Twitter @_ Bravo Bitch Fest. But again, I'm really not active on there. I use it because there's one girl who takes all of Bethany's videos and shares them on there. So I can see them because I'm blocked by Bethany. So it's really just my Bethany plug. That's the only time I get on and look, and then I get right off.
Is it Sutton's Purse Vodka?
Yes.
She's amazing.
Yes. Oh my God. I have told her, I'm like, everyone needs to be thanking you. I tag her all the time. I'm like, if you like my Bethany videos, you need to personally thank her, because I promise you, she is like my #1 source for the videos.
Yep. Sutton's Purse Vodka. She is definitely a friend of the pod. She's a friend of yours. She is amazing. We love her. If you are not following Sutton, look, we're always, if you're not following Sutton's Purse Vodka, because she's on TikTok too. She's on TikTok and she's on
TikTok.
Twitter. Yeah, she is there. So
and follow her.
Definitely follow her. She's amazing. So look at her. We're plugging other people who aren't even on the podcast.
I know. It's the least I could do for everything she's given me, honestly.
She gives us a lot. She's very
So
fun. I mean, she's one of the reasons I stay on Twitter because I'm just like,
right.
her and wasting time with Bravo. They're like two of the reasons I stay on Twitter because so much of the time I'm just like, I'm about to quit this shit. But yeah,
It's too much, especially during the election year, and that's all I'll say.
Yep. Anyway, if you want a reading from me, make sure you can email me at Stacy or at just stacynoelleconner at gmail. But everything's in the description. Definitely hit us up and let us know what you want to hear, and we will hear from you guys next time.